Hello and welcome to Now Showing.
I'm Beau.
I'm Ben.
And this is the podcast where we argue about movies.
And this week we're going to dissect, we're going to pull apart the allegories and the metaphors and the meanings behind something.
Could it be one of the most jam-packed and subtle films that either of us have probably ever seen?
Jam-packed and subtle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this week we reviewed Nocturnal Animals.
Amy Adams is Susan Morrow, an art gallery owner completely dissatisfied with her life, despite the seeming flawlessness of it on the surface. She's unhappy with her recent art installation, her relationship with her husband seems distant, and her life seems to be drifting. Then she receives a book, a first manuscript from her ex-husband that's a dark and unsettling read. Is this novel a threat? Is it real? Is her ex-husband telling her what has happened? Or is he telling her what will happen? We see the book within the film played out by Jake Gyllenhaal, who gives, as always, an outstanding performance. There are scenes in here that are tense as hell, and director Tom Ford brings a seasoning of artsy flair to the overall film. If you like thrillers, or you like to unpack a little meaning from the film for yourself, this is awesome. I'm giving Nocturnal Animals 4 stars.
Whoa!
You were not up there with me on that one?
No, I'm not that high. You're absolutely right. There's so much to unpack from this film, and there's so much to this film. I don't think I've simultaneously seen so many metaphors and so many like subtle things within a film, while at the same time not understanding any of them.
Really? Okay. Because for me, the thing that stood out was that it's clearly about something.
Yes.
By the end of the film, you go, that's what it's about. Okay, it's very clear to me. It's not random metaphors or visual illusions that you don't understand. It's not that artsy.
I will disagree with you on that one.
Okay.
It's not that artsy? It is.
No, I don't think so. I think there's a little peppering. There's one scene that I don't understand at all. And I think we could talk about that now, before the spoilers.
Okay. Is it because it's super early on?
It's super early on. It's the opening scene.
Yeah. You come into this film, you sit down, and it just throws you immediately into this just confronting, terrifying, and just way left of center and unexpected
The way
thing.
you're setting this up makes it sound like it's a horror scene. It's like a thrill. It's like a tense something. But no, it's belly dancers. It's
Is
large,
it belly dancers?
They're large belly dancers.
They're not belly dancers. They are large women who are past their prime.
No, I think there's a market for this, actually, because I went to a 21st where there were people that danced very similarly, and I was like, what's going on here? Why do we have large, not necessarily traditionally attractive belly dancers? And the people went, it's the 21st. You want people getting too unruly? So I think there's a market for it.
So it's to have naked people, but to curb the boners that are against you.
Yeah, and I think maybe that was the purpose in the beginning. It was
not
sort
the
of to
purpose.
unsettle you.
You're not wrong. It is designed to unsettle you. And you watch it, you just kind of like, I can't look away.
What you're looking at is you're looking at one of Amy Adams' art installations, her most recent one. And it's videos of those belly dancers, and it's fading through, and there's
actual belly dancers as well that are like posing in the art installation.
I believe they would have been bodies. They were like sculptures, right?
I think they might have been the actual women.
But no, they're lying there perfectly still. No.
Haven't you seen the mannequin challenge?
It's not like the mannequin
People can be
challenge.
perfectly still.
Because at the end, it was a bit awkward. At the end of that first scene, Amy Adams is sitting there with them and no one else is left around. I don't think, if they were real, she would have been like, all right, thanks, guys, get up. And then would have got up
Okay,
after.
fair call.
Yeah.
And the art installation finishes. You're like, no, you're staying here overnight.
This is on for 3 weeks.
You live here now.
Yeah, I don't think they were real.
Yeah, fair call. Okay.
To be fair, that's the one scene that I'm having trouble unpacking.
I think that a lot of it's there for shock value, for like, okay, this isn't the film that I signed up for. Okay. And it very much thrusts you into an unexpected thing and throws you off balance to be like, just so we're clear, this isn't the movie that you think it's going to be.
Excellent. I think this episode should be a review for people who have seen the movie.
Yes.
I think we should go through it and try and unpack it.
Now, for those who are unfamiliar with our podcast, we play a spoiler sound.
And let's drop that right now.
I will find him, Lara. I will find him!
And from now on, we're going to be spoiler full with everything that we talk about. So if you haven't seen the film, go and see it so that you can be on board with what we're talking about and you're not going to have the entire movie ruined for you, because there's a lot to this film.
I think if people are maybe interested in it, but they don't know if they want to go see it, if they read any blurbs about it and any summaries of the plot, it's going to turn them right away. Because, I'm going to say this now, it's as simple as Amy Adams reads the book. That's a large portion of the plot, but it's riveting.
And this is why I'm really surprised that you gave this film 4 stars, because it is subtle, it is full of metaphors, it is full of things that...
I don't think it is.
And it's full of things that technically aren't happening. Like, they're not dream sequences, but it's a fictitious representation of events that unfold.
Which is why I'm surprised that I liked it so much, given that those things are my pet peeves.
But it's going to be interesting to see if what you unpacked from it and what you thought that this film was about is something I thought the film was about, but was left unsatisfied and wanting.
You're not at 4 stars, but you're moderately high.
I'm sitting at 3.
Okay.
I think this is an above average film.
Okay.
I could be swayed to 3.5.
I'm going to try and sway you.
But I think out of the 2 releases for this week, I think Arrival's the stronger film.
Oh, no. No. Of the 2 Amy Adams films,
Yeah.
I much preferred this one.
Okay.
I felt a lot more satisfied from Nocturnal Animals. I got a lot more out of it, and there were a lot more surprising scenes. Whereas Arrival has the same tone the whole way throughout.
Okay.
This has different tones.
If you say so.
Let's go into it. All right. Amy Adams, she's dissatisfied at home. She's married to Armie Hammer.
Yep.
He's clearly cheating. They're clearly on the rocks.
Their relationship is clearly just made up of all of this facade, all of this superficial displays, and Armie Hammer is going broke, and
they're both going broke.
Or they're both going broke because of bad business practices for Armie Hammer, and he's getting frustrated because he can't keep up his lavish lifestyle and the appearances and all that sort of stuff. It's all about the superficial look. It's all about how they're represented to everyone else in their upper echelon circle.
Yet, despite all that, Amy Adams is very dissatisfied. Last week I had a complaint about Arrival that Amy Adams was a bit of a melancholic character. She was rather mopey and down for no particular reason. I didn't mind it so much this week.
Of course you didn't. Can you explain why?
No, to be honest, I can't explain why seeing a person who has everything but is not happy
is more satisfying than seeing a mother who's lost a child be melancholy.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't explain why, but I didn't think that Amy Adams in this film was annoying.
How am I already at a table flip moment? What?
I found her character in Arrival to be a little, I don't know, just there was something about it that was irritating, but in this one, no, not so much. Maybe that's because I thought she was going to get her comeuppance or her lesson or learn a story of some sort. And then she gets a book.
Yes.
The book is called Nocturnal Animals. Mm-hmm. It's from her ex-husband, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes. And Armie Hammer's like, you were married? like he's forgotten?
So there's a theory we'll come back to. Maybe she wasn't. Because you never really see Jake Gyllenhaal. You see the Jake Gyllenhaal character portrayed in the book.
Yeah.
And several characters make reference to the fact that you had an ex-husband. Maybe she's making it all up. Maybe she's written this book. You've just been blown, haven't you?
It hurts.
Because the assistant didn't know she was married to Jake Gyllenhaal. You never really see Jake Gyllenhaal except for 2 flashbacks.
Yeah. Of their relationship and how it started, how it fell apart.
Yep. And then Armie Hammer didn't know that there's a couple of suggestions that maybe he's not real. You never see him in the current timeline. Just throwing that one out there, just being crazy from the start, from the get-go.
Okay, that is
But
crazy.
that is crazy. It's a little too far out there. Let's bring it back a little bit.
Okay.
So she starts reading this book.
Yes.
Now, if you told someone that this entire movie is going to take place as she reads book, we see book. She reads book, we see book for the next hour, it would not go down well. I would not have liked that. But the fact that I kept thinking it was going to break out of that, and it didn't, was fine with me.
So far, what you've been basically saying is that in all of these other circumstances, I hate this stuff. But in this circumstance, I like it inexplicably.
Yes, exactly. Well, let's just say the Texan storyline is cool.
Yeah. Oh god, the story itself, I would read that. I
Here's
would
a
watch
question.
that. I did watch that.
If you saw the film without the Amy Adams sections, would it be a good film on its own?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I would be absolutely fine either reading about that. I would be absolutely fine watching it. It was an interesting story, and it was kind of like a secondary movie plot within a movie plot.
It's a movie within a movie.
And the way that they did the sound mixed with the visuals with this was very, very artistic and very, very intriguing. Because there were moments where audio was played from a memory of Amy Adams while looking at visuals of either the movie that was happening in the book or of Amy Adams sitting there in present day Amy Adams.
Yep.
So like say she's in the bath reading the book and then you have just this audio of a memory of Jake Gyllenhaal saying something from the past. And
You left me.
but interposed through, and then you have, say, the visuals come up of something completely unrelated within the book, but there's no sound to it. It's like the sound of her in the bath, and it's just this wonderful meshing and use of sound and visuals together and making them disparate and different, and I loved it. I thought
There
that
was one
great.
scene later on, the heartbeat scene, we'll get there, that I didn't quite like so much, but I think that's an extreme example of what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
Where
very,
it's-
very extreme.
Where it's showing the allegories of what the story is to her.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Everything about this book is telling the story of them. But before we go on, the first scene from the book. Jake Gyllenhaal driving his wife and his daughter down the highway gets assaulted on the road by two cars full of country hicks.
Yep.
Tense as fuck.
That was pretty tense. They sort of didn't know what to do and trying to not provoke them unnecessarily.
And a large portion of that scene is Jake Gyllenhaal trying to be delicate, essentially. He's not being overly aggressive because there's three of them versus him, his wife, and his daughter. And that's one of the things that later on he feels guilty about. That he should have stood up more, been more of a man, in inverted commas, which is his lesson to himself.
Being weak. You know, the writer's lesson to himself, or the writer being that, you know, this is how people see me, or this is what they believe, or maybe I think this about myself. And so that's a big character flaw in the book that he's writing, essentially featuring himself.
No. She said, maybe you should write about something other than yourself. And Jake Gyllenhaal replies with,
Writers only ever write about themselves.
so, here's the theory. All the characters within the novel are aspects of Jake Gyllenhaal's character. Michael Shannon represents the element of Jake Gyllenhaal's character that wants revenge. It's not the main part of him. And there's a bit in real life where Jake Gyllenhaal says, I write things down so that they stay.
They're
Otherwise,
immortal.
they slowly disappear. Like his want for vengeance, which is the Michael Shannon character. And it's represented by disappearing, by him dying. He's slowly dying, and the longer it goes on after the assault, after the murder of his wife and child, the less he wants vengeance.
Okay.
I think the casting of Aaron Taylor-Johnson, who looks very physically similar to Jake Gyllenhaal,
Okay.
is a good mirroring. It's the other aspect of his character. It's the him versus himself. The ego to Jake Gyllenhaal's id.
Because Aaron Taylor-Johnson's character
Is awesome. Is great in this film.
also has no sort of basis in standard human interactions. Like, he is very erratic.
And there's not a straight allegory for who that is in the real world. Because the real world story that they're telling is the abortion scene, where Armie Hammer, the new man to Amy Adams, convinces her to get an abortion and leave Jake Gyllenhaal for him. And then Jake Gyllenhaal finds out, and he's watching from the rain, which is his whole family being stricken from him, taken from him. And that's essentially an extrapolation of what the book is.
Yes.
It's
I
him
got that.
feeling completely helpless whilst that's being taken away from him.
The abortion scene, obviously saying that the child that she had conceived with Jake Gyllenhaal, she then put an end to.
Yeah.
So who the fuck did she call who was apparently her daughter?
That was her other daughter.
So there was another child
No,
that
but
she
she was
separated
conceived
from
afterwards.
after the abortion.
Yeah. Because she's been separated from Jake Gyllenhaal for 19 years, she says early on.
Does she?
Yeah. So that kid could have been 16.
Right.
So conceived 3 years after.
Armie Hammer child.
Yeah.
She's the exact same actress as the Jake Gyllenhaal child.
Whoa! Are you sure?
Yeah, she was.
Because the way she's laid with her boyfriend is mirroring the same way she's laid with Isla Fisher, as their bodies have been dumped.
I'm pretty sure that she's in college when Amy Adams calls her, which would make her like 19.
Well, that means she could have had the kid almost straight away afterwards with Armie Hammer.
Or was it that the abortion didn't... I've just changed your whole interpretation of the film.
That's Jake Gyllenhaal's daughter.
Yeah.
If it's the same actress, I mean, I think that
It
would
is
be...
the same actress.
That would be a big clue towards that. And she really has been taken from him. I like that reading. Maybe they don't even know.
But I still don't understand. Like,
what don't you understand?
I don't understand. Like, is that what happened? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Maybe they don't even know. Maybe Amy Adams and Armie Hammer don't even know if it's their kid or Jake Gyllenhaal's kid.
Okay, but
they could think in their mind that they...
why is it that they didn't specify? Why have they just left it
open-ended?
Yeah.
What's worse, that his kid was aborted, or his kid has grown up thinking that it's not his kid?
I'm just confused about it. I'm incredibly confused, and I have no clear option to choose from.
A bit of ambiguity there is good. And also, I think the way the phone call from Amy Adams to the daughter was handled fantastically. By showing that mirroring, by showing the daughter rolling over, and Amy Adams' performance during that scene, I think that was handled very maturely. That was just enough of the daughter. I'm glad the daughter wasn't in a lot more scenes. And I don't know, I felt for Amy Adams.
It was little enough that it makes you question whether the daughter even exists.
Yes. Does she even exist? Because she doesn't interact with Armie Hammer once again.
I feel like some of my frustration is eking through now at this film. Because there are so many great parts to it. And the story itself, the book... happening with Jake Gyllenhaal's performance within that fictitious novel was just amazing. Michael Shannon, this is probably my favorite character I've ever seen Michael Shannon play.
He actually has some shadowings of Jeff Bridges from Hell or High Water.
I'm very most of the time with Michael Shannon.
You didn't love Superman with the, I will find him! I will find him! You didn't love that? I love that.
Okay. No,
that wasn't awesome.
But Michael Shannon, in most of his performances, has been very... I haven't gone, wow.
And this one you went, wow?
Yeah.
What about Aaron Taylor-Johnson?
That was very different. It's a very, very different character. I've never seen him play that before. He did it incredibly well. I was terrified. I was uncomfortable around him. And I think it's because of how erratic he was, how you just had no idea how he was going to react to anything that you said.
With a lesser actor in the scene where where they pulled them over by the car, you would have gone, he's bad straight away. But I don't know, I think he struck that balance of sort of being endearing enough that you could believe that Jake Gyllenhaal would allow him to change the tire, for example. He was charismatic enough that he wormed his way into that family. But a lesser actor would have sort of been a bit ham-fisted with that, I thought.
Okay, yeah, I would say that he balanced that out really well, where you didn't know where it was going to go.
And there's the inevitable bit later on where he switches, where he goes from pretending like nothing's wrong to going, I'm evil now. Where the eyes droop and they come back up, and he's like, this is my actual character. In the final scene, in the final standoff between Jake Gyllenhaal and him in the shed. So the final of the novel is that Jake Gyllenhaal tracks him down. Michael Shannon, the vengeance part, kills one of the guys, and Jake Gyllenhaal has to face off against Aaron Taylor-Johnson.
Yes.
They both sort of knock each other out. Aaron Taylor-Johnson dies from blood loss or something. Jake Gyllenhaal...
Aaron Taylor-Johnson dies from a shot to the heart.
Yeah, or something. And Jake Gyllenhaal wanders out into the desert and falls on his gun, killing himself.
He's been hit across the side of the head with a crowbar, which one of the eyes is all red and bloodshot, covered in blood, and he's had that impact to his head, probably fractured his skull, and just can't...
And been out for hours, and it's now dawn or something.
And can't get the grips on where he is or get his coordination. Ends up falling on his gun and shooting himself in the stomach.
Which was bizarre.
It was bizarre. It was just an odd way for the main character, to just die. Snap
back to reality, and Amy Adams has just finished the book. She's enthralled by it. She thinks it's a fantastic read. But earlier in the film, they'd split up almost because Jake Gyllenhaal wasn't a good artist, basically. And now he's created a piece of art that's so good that it basically arouses Amy Adams. That her love for him has been rekindled. That she's back into him, and she organizes a meeting. They decide to go to dinner. And the final scene of this film is Amy Adams waiting and being stood up by Jake Gyllenhaal.
As a lesson.
So what do you think the lesson was?
She gave up on their relationship, and that she sought, she said that she was unhappy, so she was going elsewhere. And elsewhere, she's also unhappy.
A little grass is greener sort of thing?
I think it was a bit of a lesson of like, you have turned into your mother and everything that you hate.
Oh, sick burn.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Become superficial, become obsessed with other people's success, and trying to feed off of that.
Yeah, okay.
So as soon as you see someone who you've had a previous relationship with do well and be successful at what you had previously decided that they would not be successful at, she then says, oh, well, now I want to be with you.
Just furthering the stabbing, it's I've succeeded at something that you thought I couldn't do by doing exactly what you told me not to do.
Yeah, writing about myself. You may want to come crawling back, but I'm going to raise your hopes and then dash them in a really petty way.
A friend said she loved the ending, the ambiguity of it, but her friend hated it because it was like, what happens next?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a what happens next at all. It's not it cuts off before you find out what happens. It's that that's what happens. It's that Jake Gyllenhaal's never going to try and get in touch with her again, and that she's belittled.
Stuck in her unhappy and unrewarding life.
There's another level of resolve to both of their characters that works really well. It's that Amy Adams leaving him and leaving him in such a disastrous way was the impetus he needed to write a really good book, to become an artist. If he hadn't had that sort of traumatic event, maybe he wouldn't have been able to do it. Similarly, the book is such a good piece of art that it teaches her to pull off that ring. That it teaches her she's not happy in her current relationship with her current life. And if a piece of art can make you do that, it's one. It's good. It's a fantastic piece of art.
That doesn't really give Amy Adams anything.
I get the implication that she's going to move on. That she's going to leave Armie Hammer, having now pulled off that ring. I think that's the significance of doing that.
But the whole issue is that she is too afraid to put herself out there in any real artistic way. She knows what will be accepted and widely embraced artistic-wise, but it's not something that she is fulfilled doing. And that's what her art pieces are about. She knows what will provoke people. She knows what people will want, but it's not necessarily what she feels rewarded making.
I can't comment on any of that, but what I'm just trying to say is that both of their characters grow by the end of the film, which is why it's not a cliffhanger.
I still feel at the ending, I'm left going, are you serious?
What, really? Why?
Yeah, that's my feeling. I need more.
You need more? No, not at all. Both characters change. That's enough for me. They both change through this one book.
It's just left so unhappy and just immediate severing of, I don't like it. It doesn't sit well. It's not rewarding. It's not tied in a nice, neat little bow.
I disagree entirely. I think that is so concise that this one element can just flip them both. And at its core, the book didn't happen. He's written something so good that convinces her to take him back. He doesn't take her back. That's the vengeance tale, right? Mm-hmm. It's as basic as that, I think.
But the film is just so full of metaphors and analogies and just subtle little nuances. And from start to finish, I could just list them. I could just go through so many.
Just list a few of them.
So we have the art installation at the start, which is...
I can't explain that one. That's the one scene I've got nothing.
It's a very confronting and out there artistic piece that Amy Adams, there was a very full and successful launch for it. But at the end, she's left feeling hollow and unrewarded.
Maybe it's a broader comment on the junk that is art at the
Shock
moment.
value.
I think that's saying something outside the film, actually.
Yeah.
It might be Tom Ford commenting on like commercialization and what sells.
Also, the bird hitting the window.
Yeah, I got nothing for that one.
It was a metaphor for,
A jump scare, maybe.
It wasn't a jump scare. It was the death of something that you didn't see.
You didn't see something coming and it stopped you in your tracks.
I think it was more that, you don't see what's going to be your downfall.
Yeah, okay. To be honest, that was one moment that if someone could give me a lot of meaning for, I would like a bit more, but I thought it was a little contrived.
It's definitely contrived. And that's what I mean by like there's lots of
I'll give you another one.
Jake Gyllenhaal mirroring Amy Adams things, like in the shower, looking in the mirror, sitting on the bed, laying down.
It's to show a simpatico between the two. The more she reads it, the more she understands his perspective.
All right, what about the boardroom meeting scene and the time just before that where she was looking at the art and then had the jump scare with the phone?
Yeah, that was a weird one because she wanted to fire someone, but then took it back and decided she didn't want to fire someone.
Does it mean that she's changing? Like, as she's reading the book, she's going from one sort of person to another sort of person?
It's got to have more meaning than that.
But you don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is. It can't be that simple. Like, if it is that simple, it's a waste of screen time because it's a quite long scene, quite big scene in terms of the number of actors in there and the sort of scale and stuff of it.
Yeah.
Although, there is something that might make it make sense. There was a suggestion that the Texan storyline was the real storyline and the Amy Adams storyline was the fake storyline.
What? What? How and why and how?
The only thing supporting this theory is that the Amy Adams storyline is so like two-dimensional. It's so straightforward and it's very posed and everyone in it is so pretty and so... But I think that might just be a bit of romantic irony. It might be the fact that everyone in the real world looks fake and everyone in the fake world seems more down to earth and more gritty and real. I think that's just a visual representation, maybe. And that's where other people are getting this concept that the real world's fake.
It's got a lot of artistic wank, I'm going to say.
No, it doesn't. No, it does not.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. I would normally agree with you for artistic wank. I would normally go, that's wanky. And I think the bird scene, for example, is one of them. But this is spot on for me. I really enjoyed
the main part of the film, the core, what you have to basically... The entertainment value of the Jake Gyllenhaal storyline within the book, amazing. And the artistic side and representation of Amy Adams' world is, again, something that I can really appreciate. And it looks phenomenal. There's just so much unpacking to do with this film that I just didn't feel like it was worth the unpacking that I had to do.
Typically, telling someone that you're going to have a lot to talk about at the end of a film isn't a bad thing.
All right. Maybe I just wasn't prepared for the mental effort and the mental requirements of Nocturnal Animals because it does require a fair bit.
But I think to give some satisfaction for our unpacking of it, we can agree that it's about a guy who creates art so good that his ex-wife wants him back.
The core storyline is Jake Gyllenhaal's vengeance on Amy Adams in the context of a book, which is about the vengeance of Jake Gyllenhaal on Aaron Taylor-Johnson.
And there are straight parallels and straight allegories for them, and you can read as much into it as you want. I loved it. Have I been able to talk you up at all?
Yeah, okay. And remembering some of the amazing plays between audio and video and the visuals, I'm going to go up to 3.5.
Good.
Look, you've dragged me up.
Yes!
You brought me to 3.5. I ain't going to 4. I still think Arrival is the better film to see this week. That's my personal opinion. You are obviously going to be changing and being different and being difficult.
Of course, my opinion's right. Nocturnal Animals is better. 4 stars from me.
3.5 from Camp Beau, and I'm sticking with that.
4 and 3.5. They're still pretty good scores for a film.
And that's pretty much you should probably go see it.
I agree on that.